In general, I was always keen about music, ever since I remember 3, 4, 5 years old. I always liked singing. I always liked to express my love for rhythm, tapping around on drums and stuff like that. I mean, cooking pots. And my dad played the violin when I was about 6 years old, and I remember a situation where my relatives came around, and I guess my father heard me fiddling something, and he showed him what you just did, and so I played this, like a German folk song on the guitar. And then my mum had a little piano. I played music on that, and then my brother eventually had a guitar standing there on his 16th birthday, which, when he went to work, was sitting there, and I was attracted to, against his wishes, to play with it. We, we all played the same thing, just like the hit parade, the whatever was Beatles, Shadows, soul music, whatever was in the charts at the time. Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and people like that haven't heard about them yet. As 9 years old, it was more like the Shadows, instrumental music, clean guitar sound. But it was already, for me, very, very exciting and important. I knew that was something I wanted. It didn't start until I was about 13, 14, when the first distorted guitar I heard. And that was when, Led Zeppelin and all the bands that came out at that, when was it, like around 68 probably. All the way up to my 17th birthday. I mean, 17-year-old, around that area, I copied, whatever was coming out that had that distorted guitar sound. Just like with all the clothes and suits, whatever my brother didn't need anymore. So whatever he had first, I had second. No, it was kind of, it went actually like this for a while, but I've, very soon started to realize that I wanted something, I had my own idea of what I wanted. And so I kind of went direct. I actually started off probably famous. We had an acoustic electric guitar, then went to Hofner. Then I went to, my brother had a Gibson, like a full body kind of a thing. And I went like Direction, Fender, Jazzmaster, Jaguar maybe, then Les Paul Deluxe, Les Paul Custom, and then I ended up with the V. It was not really, the shape wasn't important. It just, or maybe it turned in subconsciously. Maybe it was part of the whole package. I'm not sure, but basically it was an accident. The Scorpions, we played. I was breaking a string, and it was lead break was coming up, so we swapped guitars quickly. My brother and I. He was already playing a V, and so I ended up with it. It was the combination between the 50-watt Marshall and that guitar, and also, I guess maybe, like I've seen Leslie West, he was playing one of my favorite lead breaks, that the theme of an imaginary Western, and that he probably didn't even play the V, but I had kind of pictures of him with a V, and so I assumed that's what he was using. So I just ended up with that guitar, and there was, once you get used to that shape, I find it awkward to play like that, and so I just got used to it, basically. Because he was already working, and I was going to school. He's 6.5 years older than me. So when he was, I guess he was maybe 16.5, he started to work. I was 9.5, and I had the time at home to, I actually played his guitar, and which I wasn't allowed to. But when he found out that I was actually doing something with it, he asked me to copy things for him and teach him after work, and he would pay me for it, and that's what we did. Well, my brother, he always got me my gigs. Like when I was 11, he said, like, Michael, I have a band for you, if you're interested. And that was the first band I joined when I was 11. I actually, by the way, I played my first concert with the Scorpions when I was 11. And then the second band, he found me when I was 13, called Cry, or Cry Express. And that was the youngest band in Germany at the time. And then he said, like, I have a great singer for you. I always had my eye on this guy. I want you to I want to introduce you to him, and maybe you're interested in making a band with him. And that was Klaus Meine. And so we got together, and then he had a drummer from his old band, and I took my bass player from my band, and so we started the band called Copernicus. And I was about 14 and a half, almost 15 years maybe. And so just maybe a few months later, the Scorpions didn't have their singer. We were rehearsing right next to each other. And they were waiting for the singer and for the guitarist, and they didn't make it. So they were listening to us rehearsing. And that's when they decided, they wanted to approach Klaus Meine and myself to join the Scorpions, and we did. It was my mom and my dad and me holding the guitar with my, like Sunday trousers, like ironed and everything, and then playing like a good little boy. It was just some nightclub where they, like those clubs where they used to play around Hanover in North Germany. I didn't really understand what was going on there. All I know is that they were playing there. And I guess it was just a normal club where people would be dancing and they would be playing some songs that were in the radio, that kind of stuff. It's just like all the steps that I've been through, for me, are very memorable, and they are very important pieces of my development. And I can basically go right from the beginning through every album and why, etc., and simply, my whole steps. So it went like the first. Of course, you make the first album. You never made an album before. You hear yourself on record. It's unbelievable, and you even hear it in the radio. Wow! And then the next album was leaving Germany, going to England. A big step, and all of that happens when you're that age. You develop so fast that is unbelievable, And then, of course, the older you get, the less it's noticeable that you develop. But if you keep you can keep developing if you make the effort to do so. But it becomes very little less noticeable. And it's just like, especially all the way up to the end of UFO. If you just look at that, it's consistent developing, and it's always. The next step is more exciting than the last one because it goes a step further. Well, I'm going to be playing with the Scorpions in Greece on the 6th. That's in between. We're still on this tour, but I have to fly to Greece and then for the one show, which is like a Scorpions Fest, where Uli is going to be the Herman, the original drummer, all the different people connected with the Scorpions. And then we carry on here, and then in September we do another European tour, and we're planning to do Japan, possibly with Simon Phillips, the original players on the first MSG album and In the Midst of Beauty. And don't go too far forward, but I think up to the end of December, that would be around what we do. My job is my hobby, basically, and I love to be creative 24 hours a day if possible. That's how I enjoy life, just always trying to create something. So I hate being bored, by the way. I don't think anybody likes that, but I don't just, do this all day long, but very early in life, I understood that it was important when you get up in the morning to do the two most important things first, whatever those are. and the rest of the day is whatever. And so that way I always take care of the most important things, and that's an important thing for me.